On October 8th, 1871, fires started in two different cities. Legend has it that in Chicago, a cow kicked over a lantern, or a comet hit a barn, or a pile of hay spontaneously combusted. However it began, the Great Chicago Fire lives in infamy. But another, lesser-known fire was burning the same day. A few hundred miles north in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, small forest fires surrounded the city. By the time the sun rose on October 9th, neither Chicago nor Peshtigo would ever be the same again. The weeks preceding the fires in the Midwest had been frighteningly dry. The night before, a contained fire kept Chicago's fire department awake for hours. By now, Chicagoans were used to the danger. Downtown was crowded, and most of the buildings were made of wood. In Peshtigo, sawdust coated household floors. Lumber was abundant in Wisconsin, and Peshtigo was, even more so than Chicago, made of wood. In both cities, it felt like a spark could take down an entire block. And so it did. When the fire started on the west side of Chicago, steady wind carried flames and burning debris from street to street. Also beset by heavy winds, the fires in Wisconsin flared, creating a firestorm. The heat from the fire was so powerful that it formed its own wind system. The Great Chicago Fire burned for 2 days, stopped only by a combination of heavy rainfall, the city's undeveloped north side, and the natural barrier of Lake Michigan. When the smoke cleared, residents saw that about 1/3 of Chicago lay in ruins. About 300 people were dead, and almost 100,000 found themselves unexpectedly homeless. The Peshtigo firestorm had made quick work of the city up north. Peshtigo burned the ground in just a few hours. By the time the sun rose the next morning, 1.2 million acres had burned, and more than 1,000 people in Peshtigo and the surrounding areas had lost their lives. In Chicago, the infrastructure recovered more quickly than its people. Now a blank slate, the city attracted architects who would create a new generation of downtown buildings. Chicago would expand and become famous for the skyscrapers they built. When the downtown's previous residents couldn't compete, they were pushed out. Peshtigo, though, was a much smaller city and is still small today. It rebounded after the firestorm, but there was no great rebuilding there. Both cities and their populations were devastated by fiery disaster. Both, in their own ways, rose from the ashes.